Welcome to the Predictive Playbook. This is the PGA Tour edition with PGA professional Nick Borrman. Welcome to the show, Nick. How's your week going so far?
Hello, John. Thanks for having me on. So far, so good. Excited that there's, a good European Tour event as well as a PGA Tour event this week as guys get ready for the Open next week. So a lot of action on golf and a lot to sort through and figure out, but doing well so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just realized literally within the last hour how important this Scottish Open has become. I remember, 10 years ago, some of the key players in the United States would go over there and use it as a warm-up tournament for the British Open, which is at Royal St. George's next week, starting on Thursday. So not surprising. But I guess first we're going to talk about the John Deere Classic, a place at Quad City close to where you were born and raised, which is pretty awesome. This course is par 71 and 7,257 yards, which is a little short by tour standards, but also keeping in mind that the major players of the world are going to be at that Scottish Open, which we're going to talk about next. So in the John Deere, what do you think is the qualities of the players that you're looking at here based on this course?
You just got to be like Steve Stricker. He's the all-time earnings leader here, and he's a guy that's figured out. Or hometown grown Zach Johnson. So what are both of those guys known for? Accuracy. They're not long hitters. So like you said, it's not a long course. So it's just about getting around the course, knowing the place. Having a good course history is key here. But it's accuracy. It's just getting in the right spots in the fairways and tees. You do not need to hit the ball long. Don't even bother to kind of calculate that into trying to figure out the winners this week. Just try to get guys that are in good form as far as accuracy goes.
I noticed that already, Nick. Hole number 15 here, 465 yards par 4, probably the toughest hole in the back 9. And it's a forced tee carry over a valley and a long sliver of a green. And it's guarded by sand and trees. And apparently if you're long, you're wrong. Double bogey probably comes into play. So for people watching, especially on Sunday, these last holes here set up pretty darn well. 17's a par 5. I always like courses that have that. That's all good. It looks like it's modeled after Pinehurst number 2 style bent grass collection areas too on hole number 17, which is interesting. So I know they made some changes to the course to make it more appealing both by the eye and make it a little bit tougher to play. But the last hole is a great finishing hole, dogleg right. But what players are on your radar this week for to win top 10, top 20, and then we'll get into some sleepers, which I always like that because of the DraftKings.
Well, this field, as you mentioned, is pretty light, pretty weak in terms of top ranked players go. So if you look at the odds board, you're going to get some guys that you wouldn't expect to see as far as favorites to win. Daniel Berger's definitely the name in this event, and a favorite for a good reason. But then you got Brian Harmon is the second betting favorite, followed by you got Sung Jae-im at the third and Russell Henley at fourth. So you can clearly see it's not the normal depth here. And what I like about these type of events, and if you look at the history, besides Stricker and Zach Johnson, you can find a lot of guys that are no-namers or have big odds this week that can pull out a win. So if you're going to look, I always like to throw out one of the favorites if you're going to look at one, because you definitely want to have a guy that's going to build your DraftKings lineups around is probably Streelman for me, Kevin Streelman. He did miss the cut last week to snap a 5-cut made streak, and he had 4 straight top 20s as well. Over the last months, he ranks third in this field in total shots gained, averaging plus 1.44 per round. Very consistent around the course. He ranks in the top 50 in strokes gained off the tee, approach, tee to green, and total strokes gained. He also ranks 48th in driving accuracy, 25th in greens and regulation. So again, as I mentioned before, he's got that accuracy mold around him and should be in contention. His history here is pretty solid. He's got 3 top 10s in 8 starts, including finishing tied for 7th in his last start, which was back in 2018. He did not play in 2019, and then they didn't have this event last year. So If you're going to play one of the favorites, he's 28-1 is where I got him. I think he's down to 25-1 right now. So still okay. 2+225 for a top 10. Again, not great value there, but of the favorites, I think he's probably the most likely. Berger for me is just as far as an outright bet, he's just a no play. At 10-1 on Daniel Berger to win an event is just I'm not excited about it. But as far as building DraftKings lineup around him, I don't have any problem with putting him in a couple of them just because he should be there come Sunday. At least he'll make the cut. But Kevin Streelman's my favorite as far as betting goes, of the top guys.
Cool. And just out of curiosity, a guy that I've been following, Maverick McNeely, and you just got to love the name. I've been playing him, and he's been climbing up in my my models, and I see him at 40-1. So, I'm not thinking of betting him, Nick. But what doesn't fit with his skill set on this course to make him 40-1, or is it more like just people are just starting to get to know him?
I guess it's just he's doesn't have a long history on the PGA Tour would be the only reason you might avoid him. His short game's not the best. Tee to green is okay, and it's more about for him what his form I guess would be as he's playing better now. More recently at least. So in this type of field, those are the kind of guys you want to look at. To be honest, they're guys that you don't get nobody really has been talking about a lot. I think he's 40-1 right now around. So those are the type of guys that you look at in this type of field. And I don't hate him as a play. I think he's got as good a chance as a lot of guys in this event to make a name for himself. So I like him.
Yeah, and in that same range, you mentioned Zach Johnson. He's 35-1. Steve Stricker's 40-1. Plus 650 for top 5, plus 335 for top 10. Those seem to be pretty good values there. Kind of flying under the radar.
Yeah. If I was going to go with either one of those, I would probably look at Stricker just because he's been killing the senior tour. So he's playing well. He's confident. Zach, this is a hometown course, but he just hasn't been quite as I guess on the leaderboards recently. Not that he's been on the leaderboards in the PGA Tour, but still he can play here. It's not long, and he's got the game to do it. He's in good form. Yeah,
and he's kind of in the shadow of Phil Mickelson right now too. Yeah, that makes it kind of tough, especially when he was on TV last night for 5 hours with none other than Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and DeChambeau. So that was actually a pretty cool event. It was fun to watch, and it's only going to get better, I think, with that. They're going to get other guys paired up and might not even have it more than once a year. They raise a ton of money for charity, so that's a reason for it probably to be 2 or 3 times a year. But anyway, so for the John Deere there, we're going to kind of keep the powder dry, I think, is our strategy. And then we're looking at the Scottish Open here. This is at the Renaissance Club. It's the second of 4 Rolex Series events, which is big deal over there in the European Tour. Very big deal. And this event it's been used as a warm-up for the British Open for as long as I can remember, because a lot of times the courses are very similar. You can have link-style courses that have 9 going out, sometimes with the wind, and then you play 9 coming back into the wind. But some of these are not that way. So with the DraftKings here, you do have the bigger names at this event, like John Rahm, Schauffele, Morikawa, McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Terrell Hatton, Matthew Fitzpatrick, the Englander, Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, it goes on and on. And one question I have for you, Nick, is I'm used to like the guys that I just mentioned taking the week off before a major. And in this particular case, it seems like they want to get some work in and maybe adjust their games from the U.S. style of golf to the British Open. Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's absolutely right. And not only that, it's, getting over there early and getting, your body adjusted to the time change and just being familiar with your area as you're, going into the big event. Because you're right, they don't normally play the week before, but this is a combination of travel and getting in a little link style. So, you might I wouldn't be surprised to see still somebody more European Tour based win this thing. As these guys come over, they're probably not 100% fully ready to go, fully focused. Some of the guys, like take John Rahm for example. Obviously, the best player on the planet right now, or as hot as anybody, obviously out there. He may not, care too much to win the event. More or less, just get a feel for the shots. What kind of shots do I want to hit around the course? He might make decisions just to try things out, like if he's missing a green or short somewhere and he's got options in front of him, he might choose one way or the other based on what he thinks he needs to do next week, not necessarily what he thinks he needs to do to win this event, because honestly, I don't think he cares if he wins this event, but he wants to get himself comfortable for next week. Then you use other guys like Justin Thomas. I think it's more important for him to win this event. He hasn't been in good form. He needs to find something. He's a guy that would benefit from getting some momentum and confidence going versus, like I said, Rahm would just benefit from learning what type of shots are going to work best around this course because it's going to translate into next week.
Yeah, this is a deep field. I'm scrolling down the names here, and it's also a lot of numbers. I'm not even sure how many are in this event, but it sure seems like more than 158. But anyway, who do you see here? Because this is probably the event that we really want to, at least personally, I'm going to nail on the DraftKings. So who do you see here that's worthy to be bet on?
If you're going to bet Rahm, I would wait till next week. Like I mentioned already, I don't think he's going to truly care too much to put everything he's got into this event. But it's hard to ignore how good he's been playing. Rory's, not a play for me, especially after that 59th finish last week at the Irish Open. JT's interesting just because I think he needs to really get some momentum going and play well. He hasn't been, super consistent for a guy that's being priced under 21. But at the same time, he's 19-1, which his normal price range is about 12-1 when he's in these type of events. He's number 5 in this field in shots gained tee to green over the last 3 months. He's just been awful in the putting green. He's minus 0.38 strokes gained per round on the putting green. So if he can get something going with the flat stick, and perhaps, this week is just to get him comfortable on some of the greens and rolling the ball. He's still hitting the ball great, almost as good as anybody, like I said, in this field in the world in general. He's just not putting well. So he's got to get a confidence going there. But of the favorites, I kind of looking at him right now as an interesting one. Morikawa is as consistent as anybody. I mentioned Rahm already, but Morikawa might be more consistent as far as just being in the cut and making it. I think he's got 14 straight cuts made. It's back-to-back top 5 finishes. So he's another guy that's right there. But I don't get excited about betting guys under 20-1. As far as outrights go, I think you got to build. Either one of those, Morikawa or Rahm, can definitely highlight your DraftKings lineup. But one guy I think I'm excited about as far as betting is Guido Migliozzi.
Yeah.
Been really playing great, 60-1 right now to win. One of the hottest players in the field, tied for 13th at the Travelers in his last start before everybody remembers his tie for 4th finish at the U.S. Open before that, as most people hadn't heard about him before that week. Leading up to the U.S. Open, he had back-to-back runner-up finishes on the European Tour, including losing a playoff. So his last 4 starts worldwide, his worst finish is a tie for 13th, and he has 3 top 5s. He also ranks number 6 in total strokes gained in this field since the beginning of June, averaging plus 2.36 per round. Just, again, playing very well, confident. He's a European Tour guy, so he should feel comfortable over here. 60-1, good value, 550, plus 550 for a top 10. So he's kind of one of those mid-tier level players that I definitely circled right away.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually, Nick, because we talked backstage before we did this recording, and I asked you, do you know Jordan L. Smith? And he comes up fifth on my models, 4th on my model, as one of the best values by far for a DraftKings lineup and possibly like a top 20. And we researched him, but guess who's right behind him? Guido Migliozzi. If I'm saying his last name right, he's right there. He's number 5 on my model. Not that means anything, but Humpley said I did come in 134th, I believe it was, in the event 2 weeks ago when Harris English won out of 58,000. What I didn't know, Nick, was that in DraftKings, they don't count the extra holes. the playoff holes. So second longest playoff in PGA history, and I got a little superstitious. I didn't want to look at my DraftKings lineup. I figured I'd screw it up. So I thought that I was gaining points and points and points, and I did not have the guy who lost. I had Harris English. And, I looked at the DraftKings when it was done, expecting to see like 20 grand, and it was about a tenth of that, but still, it was a good week.
Hey, that's nice cash regardless.
Yeah, it was fun. But you learn. I mean, you got to know the rules, right? And I clearly did not know that the extra holes didn't count. But anyway, so Jordan L. Smith, real quick, I think you agree with me that might be a real long shot to consider. And maybe if you're trying to fill in a DraftKings lineup with somebody cheap at 7,300, it might be a good play.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know much about him when you mentioned his name, but just looking a little bit at him, listen, DraftKings, the key to DraftKings is finding those guys way down that list to throw in your lineup, make the weekend, and you know what? Oh my gosh, he finished tied for 25th, and you gained a ton of points because he also had 3 other guys in the top 10, and he's a great, could be a great lineup filler for this week for sure.
I have learned over time that I try to avoid anything south of 7,000. Once you get below 7,000, then you're really pushing the envelope.
Then you're getting guys like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weekend warriors.
Yeah, and I'm still trying. Carmine mentioned on the show that I'm part of a team, WagerTalk team with you and me, and I still haven't figured out what this is and when I have to be in Vegas. But I was just listening to the show that came out of left field, so maybe we'll have to figure this out. But hopefully we will be playing out there sometime soon together. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
And I would take on anybody from WagerTalk too. You and me against anybody else in WagerTalk, I would take it on.
I'm in. Count me in anytime.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how much I would bet against these guys because they're pretty good professional bettors, but just for the fun of it would be pretty incredible.
We'd have to negotiate strokes pretty carefully.
Yes, we would. And I expect to get 12 aside. No, I'm just kidding. But looking at just a real quick 1 minute look here at the British Open. Any initial thoughts on the event that you would bet now instead of waiting?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're going to bet Rahm because you want to get money behind the best player in the world right now, I would bet him at the British Open. He's 9-1. It's not huge, great value by any means, but if you're going to bet him, don't bet him this week. But a quick look to me, I see Morikawa at 40-1. I'm betting him right now. He's been playing way too well to be at that price. And then I see Hovland also in that same range. And again, he just coming off a European Tour win 2 weeks ago, whenever that was. So again, 2 young guys that have been huge names on the PGA Tour their long career of 2 years now. But I think they're great value right now. And then you got guys like Dustin Johnson at 12-1. No, thank you.
I agree.
But even DeChambeau 14-1. Not getting excited about Koepka 14-1. Like, no. Morikawa should be in that range more than those guys. So, to me, he's a must play immediately.
I honestly would take Corey Connors at 66-1 before I would take Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it'll be interesting to see how the matchups go because I'm already on the same page with you, fading Dustin Johnson and possibly fading DeChambeau too. It just seems like they're at least DeChambeau his game is not where I thought it was. I thought it was much better than what it actually is, but and plus I don't think the British Open really fits that high ball striking game with locations that have wind, and this place will have wind.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the Leishmans of the world that hit line drives and hit fairways. But Colin Morikawa is remarkable. That is a great bet, and Patrick Cantlay too. I think is another one to consider.
Yeah.
But I'm going to join you on Morikawa as soon as we end this show.
Yeah, there's no reason not to get your money on him. He's been too good for too long, and proven winner already. So he definitely got it.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, I know you have another show to do here, and I'm going to let you go, but thank you for your time. And I hope everybody liked the show. And if you did, give us a like and please subscribe to the show. It only takes a second to do it, and we appreciate it. So on behalf of Nick Borrman, myself, WagerTalk.com, and the Predictive Playbook, may all the wins be yours.